podcast. I'm Lainey Miller, and today I'm with a group of students from Dr. Weaver's class. We're going to have a conversation about what kindness means to us. Mr. Greene, since you are the school counselor for all of the schools in Maury County Public Schools, we wanted to talk to you about kindness and leadership. So far we've gotten sort of like students and peers' views on what kindness is, but what is kindness to you?
That's a very good question. So glad to be here, first of all. Thank y'all for inviting me to be on y'all's awesome podcast at Mount Pleasant High School. Kindness to me is just a lot of times just showing others what you want to see, not only in yourself, but what you want to see in others. So we all know that kindness can go a long ways, helps you in a lot of different situations in life. The one thing that I try to exhibit as being the coordinator of counseling for Maury County Public Schools is just how I would want to be treated myself. I think in y'all's first episode I heard y'all cover the golden rule, so that kind of goes back to this as well. How can we exhibit kindness? And I think it just makes life easier the more kind people are. It just seems it helps in a lot of situations.
So Mr. Greene, I know you experience and give kindness to kids when they come up to you for stuff, but how do you handle kids that maybe aren't as respectful or kind as some of the other kids?
That's a very good perspective as well. I did spend 5 years working in the Lawrence County Alternative School, so we dealt with a lot of students that were kind of dealing with some maybe personal issues or just haven't had a good example, whether it's in the home or outside of school. So working with students like that, again, it's one of those things you just kind of show. You got to lead by example. So you got to show them kindness for them to be able to imitate that and reverse that back to you. Sometimes it takes multiple times. I've been one that doesn't take things personal. I've had students say very negative things towards me or be very frustrated. But then every once in a while you get those students that once you persevere through that and keep showing that example, eventually they do reflect that back. And even a small reflection of that kindness back from a student that maybe was angry towards you or saying negative things, to see them be positive and responsive, that's always feels like a personal win. But not only for me, but for them, to see a student kind of come around. Because again, I believe being kind can get you a lot of places in life. I myself don't feel like maybe I'm the smartest guy in the room, but I will be the kindest guy in the room. And so I think a lot of times that can make a difference when you're working with people, especially working with a district of 13,000 students. You're working with students from all different economical backgrounds, different parts of the district look very different, lots of very different home styles. But kindness is universal. It goes to everyone, no matter the background, no matter the race, gender. Kindness is equality, is equal. And so that's one thing I believe about kindness.
Last episode, I noticed that our guests like to give kindness the way they received kindness. What are some of the ways that you like to receive kindness? And can you fall into the category of someone who likes to give kindness the way they receive kindness?
I think that's a very good one as well. I think with giving kindness, for me, is just making things personal, getting to know the person, asking how they are. Family, a lot of people like to be asked about their family. What are they going through? A lot of times, when I've talked to students, they're like, I've never had anybody ask me about my family, or I've never had anyone ask how am I feeling today, or I think I give that. But also, when in return, a lot of times, I like to give kindness and not really think about receiving myself, but when people do take interest in me, my background, my history, I do find that to be very appealing and kind. And it does feel good when people do want to take personal interest in you, in your history, in your story. So I try to do the same thing with other people when I meet them.
Mr. Greene, so what's a recent act of kindness that you've been given?
Well, actually, I think being invited to this podcast would be act of kindness. Like I said, I love being asked about my history, kind of, my passions for working with the youth of Maury County Public Schools and being in education. So I really think that's what I see as an act of kindness, being just here on this podcast with you guys and trying to dig deeper into kindness and what that looks like, and like y'all been challenged me on what that looks like to be receiving it as well as giving it. So that's been awesome and one of the most recent acts of kindness for me.
What about a act of kindness that you've given recently?
And again, this is one of those where you're being self-reflective and having to put that out there, act of kindness. I think one of the most things recently is every Wednesday, me and my family, my two children included, Dax and Deegan, who are 7 and almost 5, we pick up trash around downtown Columbia. It's called Keep Maury Beautiful. So we are, tonight we'll be doing that again. We spend about an hour, 2 hours walking downtown Columbia, different streets, For my kids, it's also been an eye-opener to maybe be, even though it's 5 minutes from our neighborhood, to see that not all neighborhoods are the same. And so my kids are learning to try to instill in them that sometimes little acts of kindness can go a long ways. To me, I feel like that's something that we've been doing recently, me and my family, as a family, doing together, that you can almost instantly see the impact of a cleaner street, but also just for them to be able to be out in the community and seeing different aspects of our own downtown.
Going back to what we were talking about in our last episode of the podcast, we're talking about kind of, is kindness learned and taught, or is it something that is natural? And then Mr. Greene, you talked about, you mentioned teaching your kids kindness and being an expert with counseling students and young people. We're wondering if you think that the whole purpose of our campaign is trying to stop targeted violence early on, way downstream. Talking about specifically middle schoolers, do you think that these like small acts of kindness, these conversations about kindness, can make an impact?
I really do. I think everything you're doing right now is going to make an impact. I always say to it, even if you affect just a few, those few can affect even more people. And so I think this is going to make an impact. I think my own upbringing, being in a home with in-home daycare with multiple children from all different backgrounds. We had children from the women's shelter in our home. We've had foreign exchange students, and my parents adopted 6 children, some of different races. And so, I was taught those acts of kindness that, no matter the background, no matter the circumstances, you can still be kind. And so I think that seeing how I was taught that and how I imitated that, yes, I think what you guys are doing, pushing it down into younger generations and younger people, I do believe it can make a difference, that it can be taught. Some might not have that example, like I said before, at home or in their communities. A lot of times people just don't have the same upbringing others have. But kindness is one that, again, is equal for everyone. That doesn't matter your background, you can still show kindness. And so, yes, I do think y'all can push it down, and I do see this being successful and affecting the younger people how to be kinder.
Kindness is for the GOATs, greatest of all time.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode of the Kindness Can Cure podcast, and we'll see you soon.